Okay, and welcome to my very first developer commentary on the production and basically the behind the scenes of Fear is in the Mind. I am the creator, Graf, and today I just figured I'd take a little bit of time to talk a little bit about the game and sort of explain some of the concepts and ideas which didn't see the light of day. So if anybody didn't know, the basic concept is that it is about fear being in the mind, which I very much outlined in my artistic statement, which was a requirement for the assessment that I was doing, because this entire project was a university assessment which I had to do, and part of it was to create an artistic statement. You can check it out on there through the artistic statement through here. We're not going to talk too much about that. We're going to get straight into it because I want to sort of explain a little bit of some of the oddities that you might have noticed when playing the game. Now, if you hear any weird artifacts in the microphone and the recording, that's just my cat running around. Anyway, so starting off, you might have noticed the jumping sound effect, which is a bass synth, funnily enough, and congas for when you land. The whole point of that really weird, out of place sound effect because I wanted it to be a sort of a comedic effect. You know, this game can sometimes be pretty stressful, and I wanted there to be a way for you just to be like, this game's too stressful? Just jump a little bit. Very nice. So that's sort of the idea there. And the water footsteps that you can hear as you walk, purely just to freak you out. That's literally the entire purpose of that. You're not actually walking on water, but the illusion of sound effects have a lot of impact. Ignore the dogs barking in the background. It's just dogs are crazy. Anyway, so as you can see here, there's a little human here. Now this is to represent, you being watched. So as you're walking up and checking out Fear is in the Mind on this table here, and you turned around and saw this person standing there looking at you, you're like, oh, this is a bit creepy. It wanted to make you feel like you're being watched. So as we continue, you can see the lighting, and the lighting is very purposely designed to just sort of draw your attention to it. This entire section is actually a curved corridor. It turned out to be quite a bit of a hassle to build, because I built the level in Maya, and doing anything that's got curves in a 3D world is it's not super simple. Now, another thing I want to point out too is that there's actually a little secret area which some people I saw figured it out, but also some people didn't missed it. And basically what it does is it takes you back to the start where you can see that the person watching you was in fact just a man on a piece of white paper or a wall or whatever you want to call that. I always refer to it as a plane, but you can sort of refer to it as it is. But basically, again, fear is in the mind. That's the whole premise of the game. So as I walked out, you could see the upside down room, as I called it. And basically the whole premise of this room was I was trying to figure out a way to get people to notice the door. If you have a look in the previous developer blog, or the actual floor layout of the entire environment, you can see that this was originally meant to be an invisible wall, and sure enough, in the final game it is. You walk up to the door, it's actually not real. It's a fake door. And basically, the whole premise of this room is I needed some sort of storytelling element to basically get you to go through the door, because otherwise you would have just been walking around going, I don't understand what to do. This room's too confusing. I don't understand it. And so part of it, and this was just a bit of environmental storytelling, as it's commonly referred to. And that was sort of the whole point here. Was to sort of just tell a little bit of a story about, all right, you've walked into an apartment, but you're working on the ceiling. Like, these are meant to be lights, and there's a lamp that's pointing down towards a table, that kind of thing. So the whole upside down effect meant that you realize that there was this door here, and whether or not you intentionally went up to it first or whatnot, but being able to walk through it, I thought was a great way to basically get people to sort of experience a new idea. Now, you also might have noticed too that when you walk through the door, it disappears. That's because there are a lot of instances in this game where you walk through what's called a plane, which only has one side, and which in this case has this one side. And the one side has collision. The other side doesn't, and you can walk through it. And so that's why when you walk through the door, you can't go back, because it's only got one-sided collision, and you're having to walk through a very sneakily placed little plane. And in the third developer part, I'm actually going to show a overview in actually what it looks like in Maya, the level, and what it looks like in Unity, so stick around for those ones. Okay, so as you can see now, a lot of people might have noticed this very sneakily placed door and, well, the staircase. So I'm actually going to talk about this first, and then I'm going to come back and talk about the stairs. So as we come through, as you can see, we've walked through this very sneakily placed door, and the whole point of this light randomly coming off it is so that you can actually see it when you first rock up to it, because otherwise, if there was no light there, you couldn't see it. You wouldn't have been able to see this entire section. And as you can also hear, the music is finished. So what does it do? It just loops back around. So now as we walk, you can see this very weird, very odd room. And basically, the whole point of this area is that it's been labeled, and what I called it during development, as the unfinished area. It's an area of the map which I didn't finish. And so I figured, why not make a funny gag out of the fact that I didn't finish this area? And so sure enough, I built this entire little environment, this whole little secret section, to basically highlight that, bring attention to it. And the hardest part about this entire section was actually getting this staircase to work, because as you can see, there's quite a few gaps. When I load up and show this in Unity, you will actually see that there's a bunch of invisible walls and lots of collision here to prevent you from falling down into the little, basically on the other side of the stairs. And you can even too, if you look carefully, you can actually see through the map. You can actually see the ending there of the end of the level. And I thought that would be pretty cool, especially for people to notice. But I tried my best to hide it, but obviously you can see I didn't do a very good job. But that was sort of the point, you know, it's an unfinished room. And then as some people rightfully pointed out, you might have seen the little signs on the wall. And if I jump here, get ready for this. Oh, there's another plane. You see? It's just all planes. It's just all tricks. It's all just playing on your mind. You can see, this is awkward. And then you're not supposed to be here, you know. Those were a reference to GTA 3 and how there was a Easter egg that you can discover by, I think it's jumping out of the map at a certain section, in like a certain car park. You can sort of like cheese it, park a truck up against a wall, jump over a supposedly not supposed to be accessed wall. And you get shown this little message, sneakily placed message by the level designers and the world designers. And it's quite a funny gag. It's been quite a common thread over the internet over the last few years. And I figured, why not make reference to it? You know, you're out here, you're in some reason, you're outside, which is like, what? So I figured, why not just add in a couple of little sneaky messages here? But they're entirely an Easter egg and a reference to GTA. And so if we keep continuing along, as you can see, the level climbs up. Now, you might notice too, and some people have noticed, that going through the secret objective, the secret path, as I called it, basically bypassed a lot of the game. And the whole point of that was that entire area is basically a time and a section where you can relax after experiencing it. You know, it's a very stressful, this can be a very stressful experience, like some of my friends have very rightfully come across. And I figured that having a little open area like that can help to sort of relieve the stress a little bit more and actually provide a moment of like, and a bit of relaxation. So that's sort of the whole point there. All right, now we're coming into the last section here, which is, as you can see, features a boardwalk and a supposedly solid ramp. And well, quite simply, it's not real, it's fake. And the whole point was, why don't we make it so that to finish the game, you have to fall basically to your death. No matter how hard you try, you will fall through that platform. And I even saw people actually walk along the edge of that platform and make it. So now that you've fallen down, you can see, where's the level go? Once again, there's a plane up above me. So now there's this dialogue here. And the whole point of this dialogue was to basically add an ending to the experience, because I didn't know how I was going to finish this bloody project. I was like, you fall to your death, but is that it? Like, what else do I do from there? And so that was sort of like, okay, I should probably come up with an ending. And sure enough, this is where the final dialogue entry came in. Okay, so now that we've talked about the secret area, let's actually talk about the main path going up the stairs. So as you might have noticed, when you climb up these stairs, you will come across a sound effect, which is actually a drill. a dentistry, as you will, because one of the top 10 phobias in the world is that people have a fear of dentists, which is pretty common actually if you think about it. And so basically, this is an entire section dedicated to that. And so the whole point of this section is that the lights get redder and the sound effect gets louder, implying that you're getting closer to, well, I guess you could say your death, or maybe your, I don't know, worst fear, going to the dentist. But in reality, when you get to the top, it's just a bunch of speakers playing a sound effect. And so, well, there you go. That's the illusion. Fear is indeed in the mind, you know. And some people, as I've witnessed, actually, you know, got sort of freaked out and sort of scared by this, which I thought was really cool. And then only for the stress to be like completely removed when they saw the speakers and went, I see. And so a lot of little clever tricks like that, and that's sort of something I wish I had more of in this game. It's sort of a very short experience, but this is sort of more the items and sort of the ideas that I wanted to feature. But at the time, I was actually really happy with it, and this was originally going to be a spiral staircase. Once again, to highlight to the sound effect, you know, the drill, which spins in a circle, I wanted it to be a spiral staircase. So it's like you're spiraling into your death, but of course, time constraints meant that making a spiral staircase is actually pretty bloody hard in 3D. So I was like, I'll just stick to making a standard staircase. So now as we continue, we walk into the creepy corridor. So this is basically one giant long corridor, which has this poem or this creepy dialogue playing. Now, this creepy dialogue is in fact a poem that I wrote at the very start of production, and this is something that I presented to my teacher to sort of get some feedback and sort of understand, okay, this actually will work. But that's sort of like the entire premise of the game, and that's what I've built this entire experience about. So as you walk along, just watch where you came from, which you can see straight ahead, right? That's little square back straight ahead. Because once again, guess what? You walk through another plane. Oh, disappeared. Where's it go? Because you walk through a plane. So, and as you try to walk back, it won't let you. And so there's just a lot of little sneaky things like that. The whole point of those planes was to prevent you from going backwards and sort of basically breaking the experience. Because this is meant to be a linear experience where you go in one direction towards the end, which is obviously the final part where you jump down to your supposedly death. And I didn't want you to go back and sort of break the flow of the immersion that I presented. So as we continue, we now get into the section where this used to be spiders, sound effects of spiders and creepy crawlies scuffling around on the floor and on the walls and whatnot. And then at the very last second, I actually changed it to dogs barking because I figured dogs have a bit more of an impact when it comes to this sort of creepiness. And as some people rightfully pointed out, it sort of feels like the dogs are chasing you, when in fact there is no dogs, it's purely just audio. This is 100% an audio section. There's just a sound effect which is playing in the center of this little section, and it just has a dog barking. And funnily enough, that dog barking is actually the same dogs that you probably have heard in the background, dog barking as well. So there you go. So once again, as you walk through, guess what? Oh, there's another plane. You can't go back that way. Oh. And that's also too why you can't actually see through this roof, because guess what? There's another plane there. That's the hole where you jump down from the secret area. And then again, of course, as many people noticed, it takes you back to their finishing. Because like I said, this is the ending of the game, and this is exactly what I wanted people to end with, you know. This is the ending for the game. And so basically that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and well, I hope you learned a thing or two.